Hi, welcome to Comp 2. Hi, I'm Daisha Cunningham, and I'm ready to jump right in both feet with all of you if you're ready too. Well, even if you're not ready, here we go. We're going to get started. Going to spend some time today talking about what you need to know in order to be successful in this course. We're going to go through the syllabus. I've got some other information to share with you, and yeah, hopefully you're going to be excited by the time that we're all done with this conversation today. Well, it's not really conversation because it's just me talking, but you will be listening, and hopefully you make it all the way through this. I'm about to dive into deep water, but I feel very much that it is important for us to thoroughly go through the syllabus so that students know exactly what the expectations are and what's coming with the class. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and open up the PowerPoint. So we will share screen. And we'll get this PowerPoint up and running for you. Jump 2 slides ahead. Jump into slideshow mode. I wish that I could figure out how to go ahead and set that to exactly where I want it to be prior to starting the video, but I'm just not that tech savvy. I'll get there one of these days, but for now, this is what's going to work. So this is Comp 2, like I said, and I am Daisha Cunningham. So welcome. Hopefully this is exactly where you're supposed to be. And we're going to just walk our way through this information today. This course is about argument, building it, experiencing it, utilizing it, and accepting it. So we're going to talk a lot about argument over the next 16, 17 weeks. And those are our unit titles. So we have 4 units. The first one is building it. The second one is experiencing it. The third is utilizing it. And the fourth is accepting it. And I'm excited to jump in. But before we can start talking about argument, we've got to do this welcome and introductions thing. We have to talk about the syllabus. So breaking news. Now, I just to show you this. This is pretty funny. It's one of my favorite pictures. My son made this a few years ago. Anyway, I don't remember why I put that in the PowerPoint. I just thought it was hilarious. Breaking news, welcome, introductions. So anyway, we're going to jump into some introduction material. Very first thing I need to say to you is, how do you contact me? Because you need to contact me. There will be times in the semester when you have questions, times in the semester perhaps where you are frustrated. I want you to reach out. I want you to ask questions. I'm available, all right? I have an office on the Southeast campus. I won't be there that much, but I always have my phone with me. And so because of that, we're going to skip the office phone number because I really don't use it. But the next number, the text phone, this is the number I need you to use. 918-994-2324. That is my text number. It is only for students. And if you want to communicate with me, that is the way to do it. Email is daisha.cunningham@tulsacc.edu. You can reach out to me that way, but no, I don't respond quickly to email. It might be that your email gets lost. It might not make its way into my inbox. It might get itself sent to a spam folder. It might get itself sent to a folder I've set up for homework assignments, or a folder I've set out up regarding peer review sessions. You just never know where it might end up. So let's avoid that confusion and you sitting around wondering why I don't ever hear from her. Use the text number. This number is only for students, completely for students. If I get a message on my Google Voice app, I know it's a student. So that's the way I like to communicate with you. I do save all of those communications. So please know that. So right now is a good time for you to stop, do this, put it into your phone and text me your name and this course ID. So I'm looking for the 3 numbers at on our course section ID. I think ours is 610. I could be wrong. I don't have it in front of me. We'll see it when we open up the syllabus. That's comp 1. Look at me. I'm not 100% prepared. And that's novel writing. We need your section number in that text. So I'll get that here in just a second for you. So now-ish, we can begin. Before we jump any further into the class, I feel like it's important for you to understand who your professor is. Okay. You need to understand who I am so that you can trust that I'm knowledgeable in the subject matter that we are encountering together, that you can believe the things that I have to say. And I want you to feel like you can contact me, that I'm approachable. So I'm going to give you some information about me. And then I'm going to, well, we'll move on. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. So I was born and raised in McAllister, which is about an hour and a half south of here. If you know where that is, there's some excellent Italian food down in that area. You can get down there and go to Rosanna's and have a nice, warm, wonderful meal. Every month they have a special. You need to go check it out. It's my favorite restaurant. I do have 6 children biologically and 2 bonus sons and 3 kids-in-law. That is a total of 11 kids, and there are 2 in heaven. So just so you are aware of all of that, I'm a mama. And a lot of people call me mom, ma, or mother, or stepmom. So I love that role. I absolutely love that role. I've been accused of treating my students like children in the sense of mothering. I'm not sorry. Sometimes I feel like my students are my kids too, and I'm happy about that. But then I have students in class who are the same age as me sometimes, and hey, we're just gonna be good, right? We're gonna be good. My husband does have 2 sons that have gone on ahead of us, and those are tragic circumstances, and I'm not going to get into that right now. But I have 2 biological grandbabies, and he has 4, so that's a total of 6 grandchildren. Pretty cool, if you ask me. I love being grandma. I wanted to be Grammy, but Grammy is not what came out of Josephine's mouth. She straight up went to grandma, and I was like, oh. Nothing cool like Nana or, Grammy or Nina or anything fun. It was just straight to grandma. It was, oh, fine. It's fine. I have a master's of fine arts in writing, and it is not a master's in English literature. It is a master's in writing. That's a big difference between me and a lot of the other faculty. For me, our classes are all about our real world writing. I'm not stuck in an English literature bubble. I am wanting us to dig into some literature and look for the life application in it. I feel like our life application with all of the communication skills that we talk about in this class, much more important and valuable. So I do like to teach this class from the aspect of soft skills training. I feel like everything that we do in a comp class should be geared towards soft skills training. We're talking about argument. You have to know how to effectively argue and participate in critical thinking skills in order to be effective in the workplace. So we're going to draw correlations between those 2 things all the way through the semester, and I'm very excited about it. I do have an ENFJ personality type. The ENFJ personality type is often called the protagonist. right? We tend to insert ourselves into into situations. We tend to take a leadership role. A lot of times ENFJs tend to be professors and writers, politicians, things of that nature. And it's interesting because those are all things that I love. So that is my personality type. I got that from the 16 Personalities website, as well as the Young Typology test. So those are a lot of fun. I suggest you do that. It's very much my personality type to take a personality test. But it's a great way to get to know yourself, and we'll talk about that more at another point in the semester. On here, I do have that rosacea, alopecia, agoraphobia, autism, and domestic violence have shaped me. These are things that have made me who I am. And I just need you to know and understand that I know every single one of you has a life and that you have a lot going on in your life too, right? And so I'm aware of that. And at any point in time, if you are struggling in any way because you have these outside circumstances, please feel free to reach out. You don't necessarily have to tell me everything, but you can let me know when you're struggling or when you need some assistance. I'm going to listen. I know what it's like to go through hard times. So those are all different things there that are part of my story. And I'm not going to go through them all right here for you. The autism is that I have two sons on the autism spectrum, my 27-year-old and my 20-year-old. Both are labeled with Asperger's syndrome. And so I spent some time fighting for them when they were going through the school system, getting the IEPs with the younger one, but the first one I ended up homeschooling all the way through high school just because I couldn't take the bullying anymore, and neither could he. So those are all things that have shaped me. And perhaps we might get into some of those things at another time. I have had the same two best friends since I was 7 years old. That is awesome because I am 50, which means 51 maybe by the time you see this. No, 50. I'll still be 50 when you see this. But or if not, it might be a year from now and you're watching this and I'm actually about to be 52. So we shouldn't put, dates and age in here. But that's at least 43 years that I have been friends with these girls, and I love them very much. They're more sisters than they are friends. I have written 3 novels and several short stories. I am a business owner now, but I have been a business owner with employees in the past. 17 years running a lawn care, landscape, and tree service in St. Louis. I very much see having employees and having students in a similar vein. So if you are going to be late for work, you call in. If you are going to have to miss work, you call in. I see it the same way with school. If for some reason you're going to be late to class, let me know. If for some reason you're going to miss class, let me know. I can excuse your absence. I can be forgiving. I can help you catch up. If I don't hear from people, I don't. And you know what? This is an online class, and I just realized that. So you don't have to worry about missing class. So that would be if we were an in-person class. And I just realized that I did that. So I'm not going to back it out and scratch it out, but that's fine. I'm just going with my material. I'm on like autopilot sometimes because I've said these same things so many times. It's totally fine. So I do have a little bit more unique information about me. I'm going to be honest here, I do have 26 pairs of cowboy boots. I could have a problem. I'm not sure if we would consider that a problem. I think most people might have two. My husband loves to spoil me, and he has just about as many cowboy hats as I have pairs of boots. But he's catching up on me in the boot department. That's what we wear. We wear boots. We don't have a lot of other things, but we wear boots. I can quote most of The Princess Bride, Tombstone, The Holy Grail, and Les Miserables. These are some of my favorite movies. I do believe the supernatural realm is real. That's a big conversation that we could get into at some point in time if you ever chose to. And I don't care if people think I'm crazy. Actually, I'm quite comfortable with that idea because I like myself just fine. I also think that my husband is the most handsome man on earth, and here he is just playing a little bit on the guitar at home. You can see some of his boots there. Bonus points if we recognize the song. All right, so we're going to move on a little bit. Okay. Now, in your on your Blackboard course shell, we're going to have an opportunity for you to do an introduction. And on your discussion thread, on your introduction discussion thread, I want you to state your name, your degree program, your plans for after school, and something unique about you. All right, and don't freak out like, oh my gosh, there's nothing unique about me. You can find something unique about you, even if it's just something weird that you eat on a sandwich, right? Maybe you like to put ketchup and raisins together on a sandwich. I don't know, but you're going to think of something that's unique about you. If you want to do more than one thing, that's totally fine. Maybe you are trilingual. That's pretty amazing. I love knowing that about my students. But just something unique, something amazing. But with those other two, I do want to know what your degree program is, and I want to know what your plan is for after school. So you're going to fill that out on the discussion thread, and we're going to be interacting with each other on there. It's important for us to know who's in the class with us, so you can know who you're going to be having peer review with. And you're like, oh no, peer review. Yeah, we'll talk about that more later. And then also, if you guys, you make some connections through the discussions, you can have someone to study with, someone to ask questions of if you don't feel like reaching out and asking me. With it being an online class, it really is going to be up to you how much interaction that you're having with classmates. So I would like to see everybody get into having interaction with each other. But the whole idea here for us taking a look at what makes me unique and then what makes you unique is this idea. We are all unique. We are different. We are none of us the same. We all see the world differently, and therefore we will not see the world's issues in the same way. It's imperative that we keep this in mind as we step into discussing arguments. And so I like to lay that groundwork before Comp 2 begins, that we're all different. And we're all going to see the events happening in the world around us differently. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay. It's actually good. It's good for there to be differing opinions so we can learn from each other. Iron sharpens iron. You listen to someone else's opinion, you learn from it, you grow from it. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to change your ideas. It just means you're gaining new insight into why someone has a different opinion than yours. And it can then strengthen your own resolve in your own opinion. But it's vitally important that we talk to one another, that we understand that there is no utopia where everyone thinks just like you. There are 8 billion people on the planet, and we're all different. So from there, oh yes, if we were in the classroom together, we would do this. And if, I'm going to put up a series of statements, and if you agree with it, I would have you raise your hand all the way up. If you don't agree with it, you keep your hand down. If you're somewhere in the middle, you would put it like this. And it's always interesting in an in-person class for the students to look around the room and see how different we are and how we answer these differently. So children should be seen and not heard. Everyone in the room may have a different opinion. Kids should do chores at home. Usually every hand goes up on that one. Everyone should play sports as a kid. This one usually has a varied result. Usually I've got some like this, some with their hands down, some with their hands all the way up. Families who participate in religious activities are better off. This one's an interesting one because at this point you would think that my hand would be up, and it's not. And I have a reason for that, right? Like I have history in my own life that leads me to answer this the way that I do. Kids should be able to drink alcohol before the age of 21 if it's in their own home. We usually have a variety of opinions on this one. Military service should be mandatory. That could be a conversation another time if you want to know why would I raise my hand on that, but I do. Everyone should get a college degree. And it's always interesting on this one because people will raise their hands thinking that I'm going to raise my hand, and I don't, because I don't think that college is for everyone. It's not, right? My husband worked in the concrete industry for 43 years, right? He does really well. Didn't go to college, worked hard, worked very hard, but he does really well and he has some incredible skill. So college is not for everyone, and that's okay. Every citizen should vote. Usually all hands go up on that one, but not saying that yours would. I'm just saying usually in a class, most. Getting a tattoo is a bad idea. Oh, this is a fun one. I have two. So obviously I don't. There we go. I can't even put them in your view. There we go. There's one. It says by grace. And this is a family tattoo that I share with my sisters. So we all have the same tattoo with different numbers. So getting a tattoo is a bad idea. Some people raise their hands, some people don't. People with more money are happier. This one usually has different results as well. Police officers should make more money. And again, we have different results on this one too. Anyone can be a racist. And sometimes we have different results on that, but generally most people raise their hands. So it's just a clear depiction in a classroom setting where you can see with your own eyes how very different we are. And so then I like to bring the conversation to, well, why did I answer the way that I did? And why did you answer the way that you did? Well, I was born and raised in southeastern Oklahoma on the edge of a small prison town. Anybody else? Anybody else raised in a small prison town on the southeastern corner of the state? Right off the lake? Were you raised on a bass boat, out fishing most weekends like I was? Anybody? Okay. So maybe one or two, but for the most part, we're different. Brought up in a conservative Christian church, right? My dad was an elder. My grandpas were both preachers. My uncles are all preachers. Like I did the whole Bible college thing. Anybody else? Same story? Anybody? Same story. I am a domestic violence survivor. Did you know 1 out of 4 women is a victim of domestic violence? You can look that statistic up for yourself. Anybody else? There might be a few of you in here who could raise your hand on that one too. I am able to say me too, which we will get to later in the semester. So that's something about me and why I answer questions the way that I do. I was at one point labeled with borderline personality disorder. They tried to label me as bipolar, but it wasn't bipolar and it wasn't borderline personality disorder. It was PTSD and agoraphobia. Those are things that I have and struggle with and struggle through. And maybe you might say, wow, how can you be an extrovert and an agoraphobe? It's a unique combination, to be sure. If I'm comfortable in my environment, I can be extroverted. That is for certain. Okay, and then again, I say that I'm a bio mom of 6 with 2 on the autism spectrum. I was an INFJ until I escaped the abuse. And now when I take those tests, it does come up ENFJ. So because of all those things, none of us are exactly the same. You don't have the same upbringing. You don't have the same life experience as me for the most part. There might be a couple of you in here that might be somewhat similar to my story. So it would make sense then, right, that we would answer questions differently when it comes to political leanings, religious ideas, morality, things of this nature. We are going to have different answers, different thoughts, different opinions. And that doesn't make you wrong and you wrong and you wrong and you wrong and I'm the only right one. That's not how that works. We all have reasons for why we believe what we believe. And you learn best and grow best as people when we're willing to sit down and learn about each other and talk to each other and find out why you believe what you believe. And then you have these moments where you go, okay, I get it. I get it. And then we can learn from that space and move toward better ideas and move toward compromise and solutions. But I'm getting ahead of myself when it comes to the whole conversation on argument. There are many reasons why we think differently. And I like this quote from Stephen Hawking. He said, "We are all different. There is no such thing as a standard or run of the mill human being, but we do share the same human spirit." I like that. I think that's very nice. There is no standard run of the mill human being, this normal, whatever normal is. Stop trying to be normal. Be you. You're unique and you're a badass. So just be you, right? Come on. Another thing that you can do here is take that 16 personalities test and discover some more about yourself. Like, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I like to read about my personality type, read about how, what environments that I work best in, what type of people am I suited most to work with. It's a lot of fun to dig into that. And if you don't already feel really comfortable with who you are, that's a good place to start. Once you find the why you believe what you believe and the why someone else believes what they believe, then communication begins. Then true argument can occur, but not until then. We're going to spend some time next week talking about argument and what it actually is. Okay. For now, I'm still going to be talking about this idea of being unique. And I have mad respect for all of us being different from one another. If you are willing to be different, you will always stand out. And that's a beautiful thing. It really is. It's a beautiful thing. We are all unique. We should just embrace it. Now we can really begin. You're like, but wait, you've said that twice. I know. So the syllabus discussion. We're going to make sure that there are absolutely no loose ends. And so because of this, I am going to need to pop us out of that screen share. And we are going to go to our Blackboard. I might need to open Blackboard up. I do need to open Blackboard up, so bear with me while I do that. I have an all-in-one computer, which apparently is a mistake. My oldest son was like, "Mother, had I known, I would have told you no." I just bought a computer back during the pandemic because I had to teach classes online and I needed better than the laptop that I had. So I thought I was being fancy and getting an all-in-one. But you know, it runs like molasses is dripping down a tree. Like, it's so slow. So slow. I got to put in my answers here. See, make sure I typed them right. Yeah, I have a lifesaver. My throat's kind of sore. Not sore, maybe raw. Oh, allergic reaction. Do do do. Oh, here we go. All right. It is 6:10 if you're watching this in the fall of 2023. If you are not watching this in the fall of 2023, then it's probably not 6:10. All right, but regardless, whatever semester you're watching this in, right here on your menu says syllabus. So we're going to click on syllabus. I have uploaded the syllabus here for you to read, but the prettier version is downloadable. And so I want to open the pretty version. And we're going to work our way through that. I'm going to have to do the stop screen share again and wait for the Word document to open. Still not ready yet. Let's see here. I don't know why it's taking a moment. It's not opening. There it is. There it is. I'm working on it. I promise. Yep. It's my all-in-one. It does not like to do anything at a decent pace. It just wants to be a slug. Apparently, according to my son, they're terrible computers. And he knows a thing or two about computers. Boy taught himself how to code and got himself a really good job. Very proud of him. All right, well, that's waiting. But here we are, we're looking at it. Hello, syllabus. Syllabus says hello to you too. All right, we're going to work our way through this. But let's make the screen a little bit bigger so we're not seeing 2 pages at once. There we go. Perfect. You do want to keep a paper copy of the syllabus with you. It's always a good idea to have one of those printed out so you can write on it and you can make any adjustments or changes that are needed. So I make a big suggestion there at the top of the page. All right, so this is, and you can see what this, that I'm making this video for, what the section is there. But like I said, you might be watching this in spring 2024. You might be watching this in fall 2024. So you'll need to reference your own syllabus to look at your section ID number and your course numbers. All right, this is an asynchronous class, meaning we meet online only. We're not even meeting. You are doing this class online asynchronously. You will see my face in video lectures, but that's it. So, and my intention is to have one for you most weeks. There'll be a few weeks where there are not video lectures available. But for the most part, you will have a video lecture to watch each week. Now, contacting me, I've already talked about this. We will use text. That's the best means of communication, and the number is here, and it is here. Please put that in your phone. I do believe that your success, that's supposed to say your success is my success. But I guess it's true. My success is your success. Yeah, I guess that can still be a true statement. Because of that, I aim to respond to your text as soon as I receive it. These come directly to my iPhone. If I can't respond right away, I'm likely asleep. But I will reply as soon as I'm awake enough not to be groggy. It is essential that I'm available to you as we take this Comp2 journey together. Now, what that means is if I'm awake if I'm not otherwise engaged, like having dinner with my family or in a social situation, and I see that I have a text message from a student, I will answer it. Okay. I'm a little bit slower to do that on Sundays because Sundays are generally a relax and spend time with the family day. So I'm a little slower to do on Sundays, but I will respond to you as quickly as possible. I went back to school in my 30s to get my master's degree. And I remember what it's like to have to wait for a response from a professor. And I remember how frustrating that was. And so I endeavor to not be that professor. I don't want you to wait. I don't want you to be frustrated. I want you to have the answers that you need. So I will respond as quickly as I can. All right. Moving on down. Student support. Some important information here for you is the phone number for student support, which is right here, 918-595-2000. And their email address is studentsupportcenter@tulsacc.edu. Those are both vitally important pieces of information for you. If you have any questions at all on campus, whether it's technology related or you need to know about a FERPA form or you need to talk to somebody about withdrawal, which I hope is never the case, or if you just need some advice, you need to know how to get a hold of a librarian and you don't know how to navigate the website, you contact student support and they will get you where you need to be. So you can call them or you can email them and they will get you to the appropriate department. They are your end all be all for all information that you need access to. And with your technology, if you have issues with Blackboard, if you have issues with your TCC email, you're frustrated with my TCC, the Student Support Center can help you. You're walking down the hallway at school and you see a light bulb out somewhere and you think somebody ought to know about it. You'll let the Student Support Center know and they will get someone right on it. They are your end all be all, like I said. So please have that number in your head, 595-2000. That's a strong number for you to use. Academic and student services. We do have all of these different things are available to you on the TCC website or through my TCC. But on the My TCC Safety and Wellness page, there's a lot of really good information for you. That's where you can access our counseling services and information about getting a Y membership while you're a student at TCC, because you can get a Y membership through TCC. All of our gyms, all of our locations have fitness facilities, and those are put here through the Y. So it's pretty cool. It's updated equipment. It's really a good system. Microsoft Office. You may not know this, but Microsoft Office is available to you as students for free download while you are students at TCC. You go to the student page on My TCC and you can go to quick links and you look for software downloads and it's under software downloads. So you can just download Microsoft Office, utilize Word, utilize PowerPoint, utilize Excel if you need to, but Word is a definite thing that you want to be using. You want to use it for My Class because your papers in My Class have to be turned in as either PDF documents or Blackboard or a PDF. Wow, I can't speak. Word documents or a PDF. I don't want any Google Docs. The reason for that is there is a glitch between Google products and Blackboard. I'm not sure why. I don't understand all of that. I just have seen it happen over and over and over again. So it's best if you upload your papers as Word documents or PDF files so that I see them correctly. If I open up your paper and the formatting's completely wonky and I grade off all these points and you go, but wait, it looked fine on my end. Well, then I'm going to look and see you turn in a Google Doc after I said not to. Because that's what Google Docs does. It's going to make your paper wonky in the conversion process onto Blackboard. Maybe one of these days they'll fix that. I hope they fix that. The water cooler is next on our syllabus. What's the water cooler, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. This is a section on our Blackboard course shell. It's on the left side menu. It's a discussion area. I want you to have a space to ask each other questions or to share a frustration. Things that you need answers to that you don't necessarily specifically want to ask me, you can ask the general class. And so the water cooler is a place for you to come together in a discussion thread environment where you can ask questions, get answers. We can subscribe to this, and so you get an email anytime somebody writes something. And it's just a great spot for you to interact with one another and to get some answers, especially if I'm not responding to you right away, which I should be. But if I'm not, maybe a classmate can. The theme for this class is raise your words, not your voice, an argument on argument. All right. In this Composition 2 course, you and I will dive into the world of critical thinking skills as we dissect short stories, journalistic articles, and our thought processes regarding social justice topics. We will practice discovering the why behind the belief of others, and we will research the information required to understand opposing ideas and support our evidence. This will be accomplished through readings, group research, class discussions, academic consideration, and exploratory essay writing. We will learn more about ourselves, the differences between ourselves and others, and how those can be appreciated, respected, and utilized for mutual benefit. My personal ambitions for this class is number one, that you will develop a team mentality among the students, or to develop a team mentality among the students, a community of learners, which will enhance all aspects of this course. Assist students in seeing ideas through multiple perspectives and considering opposing views with open-mindedness. Direct students in openly discussing complex subjects while maintaining respect for ideas and opinions. And for students to come to a deeper understanding of themselves and their place in the world with emotional intelligence. So the course catalog description, it says course or Comp 2 furthers analytical reading skills, academic writing, and research and documentation techniques as the second in a sequence of 2 courses. So at this point, you should have had Comp 1, right, to be able to take Comp 2. Textbook required. We have the Arguing About Literature 3rd edition. It is a white cover, and it is in my car. But that's all right. But that is the textbook for this course. And yes, we do use the textbook. There's information in the textbook that's important, but I have heads up on the syllabus for you here. And I want to read this heads up to you. This is very important for you to understand, not just for this class, but for all of your college courses. You need to know this. If it's on, or never ask if the textbook is going to be used in your course. If it's on the syllabus, it is your responsibility to read it. Professors may or may not utilize the resource in the classroom, but include it because it is additional to the information they will share in the classroom. Most professors will give you a reading guide for making your way through the textbook. And then I'm not sure if ours, I don't believe ours is still containing that reading guide, but because I have taken and put all of the information into the PowerPoint. Regardless, the textbook is a strong textbook. It does contain some information that's good to have regarding each of our authors. But I will say this, and I don't normally say this, so hopefully you're watching this. Technically, you would be able to navigate through this course without it. I would prefer you have it because it's good to have a book and to write on the book, and to highlight and to underline and to have the additional resources that are surrounding the short stories that the book is sharing. But I also will provide copies of most of our short stories in our readings. And like I said, I have read the book and taken all of the information I think is pertinent and put it into the PowerPoint presentations. So what you choose to decide there is up to you. I don't want to know. All right. I don't want to know what your decision is in that arena. Grammarly, however, Grammarly, Grammarly, Grammarly. Grammarly is my favorite thing on the planet. Everyone should have it. Might not be my favorite thing on the planet, but I'm a daily Grammarly user and I have a master's degree in writing. So it's a good tool and I highly recommend that you download it. It is going to help you have professionalism across the board in all of your writing. It's not just for this class, it's for all of your classes, and it is for life. I use Grammarly on emails that I send. I use it when I'm working on my manuscripts and other writing that I do. I use it on the internet when I'm working on an application and I need to write sentences or answer questions. I make sure that they're grammatically correct before I click submit. So I highly recommend that you get yourself a Grammarly. There is a free version, and the free version, it checks about 30% of what you actually need it to check. So, I mean, it's fine to use the free version, but it's not going to catch everything. The premium version is fantastic. It does cost about $140 a year. I think that you can pay $11.99 a month for it. I believe this is what a student just recently told me. She's been doing the month-to-month option. You can do it for the time that you're in this class. I really feel that it is beneficial for you to pay the yearly amount up front, have it for the year, use it on everything, all of your communications. But in this class, because there are tools like this that exist, I expect us to not be dealing with grammar issues on our papers. And if I do come across grammar issues in papers, I tend to just throw the paper into Grammarly and run it and send you back the screenshots. So let's avoid that and let's avoid the grade that comes with it, because Grammarly gives you a grade as well. And so I tend to, if I end up doing that, throwing your paper into Grammarly, I tend to look at the grade that Grammarly gives you, and then I look at some of your formatting stuff, and you might end up with a 60 or a 65. Just because you didn't want to take the time to run the grammar check. So I highly suggest that you do it. When you're using Grammarly, it just takes seconds to fix things, not even seconds. It can take a second or less than a second to fix a mistake or to fix something that just slipped past your eyes. So we're going to talk more about it in another week of class, but I highly suggest that you get yourself Grammarly. If you have siblings who are in school and you're still living at home, be a really good idea for you guys to get it as a group and everybody use it. Here in my house, I share it with my son and I share it with my daughter. So you can let people have your login info and share it, right? Maybe a few of you and maybe your classmates or you have friends that are in school. Maybe you guys get a subscription together and share the cost. However you're going to do it, you need to be using it. This next one doesn't apply so much for us because we are an asynchronous online class, so we are under the assumption that you do have a computer. It's kind of a necessary feature of taking an online class, so I'm going to skip that one. We're going to look at this nice little quote here that says, "Raise your words, not your voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder." Aw, I think that's nice. There is a section on Blackboard Course Shell called Handouts. And under Handouts, I have given you lots of documents that I've put together. Most of them I created myself. Some of them I didn't, but most of them I did. These are how-tos, areas that I know that students struggle in, things that I know are necessary for you to know how to do. And so I have created and crafted these different handouts to help you along the way. Please download and save these to your computer. I don't have any copyright on any of them. I want all of my students using them because I want you to be successful. So you can see what this list is here. You can see all of the different information that is contained there, and there are more on top of this list. It's a compilation of handouts that just seems to keep growing. I'm assuming students are utilizing them. Assuming, but you know what assuming does, right? I'm not going to say it out loud, but you know. I did put the First Amendment in here because we're going to bring that up a little bit later. I'm going to keep going. Again, I've said Microsoft Office is available for downloads, and that's where it is on the student page under student quick links. It's right here, student software downloads. We're going to skip to here. It is a goal of mine that all students find confidence in themselves, who they are, and in their critical thinking skills and personal abilities. It is also my goal that each student digs into themselves, roots out what they truly want in life and their college experience, and discovers they are capable of being successful in this class. Regarding success, keep this in mind. Success can be defined in various ways. It depends on you and your goals. Why are you taking this class and what you plan to achieve for you? I will work to assist each of you in finding your own success in this class because it's going to look different for everyone. And I understand that. So we move on. The course learning outcomes are here. Those are for Comp 2 across the board. We are all looking to achieve the same outcomes, no matter who your professor is. So, and those include construct academic arguments using sound claims and appropriate evidence. We will be doing that. Analyze college level readings. We will be doing that. Select appropriate and varied sources for college research. We will do that. Evaluate the effectiveness of arguments by other scholars and synthesize ideas of other scholars. We will do that. Use information reliably and persuasively. Oh, we definitely are going to work towards that. Apply the principles of evidence-based research processes and methodologies, and formulate a writing process that includes planning, drafting, revising, and editing. All of those things we will be doing. And how will we be doing them? Well, here are the assessments and teaching methods. In this class, there will be video lectures and discussion threads. We will have interactive group work, even though it is an online asynchronous class. We will stop and do peer review with our discussion threads. There will be essays, writing assessments. There will be in those video lectures, engaging lectures and entertaining videos, feedback from the professor, and readings from our text/instructional handouts /textbook. So, and then there's a description of all of those things moving down the list. There will be short stories and news articles in multiple formats this semester. I love this JFK quote here. He said, "Too often we enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought." And we're going to be addressing that this semester. We want to be more critical thinkers than we are avoidance related in our dealings with others. So the format for coursework and assignments, again, we will be using Word and PDF files. That's the way I want things turned in. We will follow current MLA formatting guidelines. MLA is a big deal in a humanities course, which English falls under the guise of, not the guise, with the umbrella of humanities. So MLA is for us. You will, let me see what it says here. To ascertain what these are, the MLA formatting guidelines, please note that you have multiple resources. You have the textbook, MLA handouts on the course menu in Blackboard that I've given to you, the Writing Center, the TCC librarians, Google, Bing, whatever search engine you like, sites like Owl Purdue, Citation Machine, EasyBib. Literally, you can access information on utilizing correct MLA format in innumerable places. I say innumerable only because I don't want to count them. For me, they are innumerable. I am not a math teacher. You can literally find information on how to do MLA all over the place. So really, again, my expectation is that everyone's paper will be in correct MLA format, because the only excuse for it not being is you just didn't care. Did she say that out loud? She said that out loud. I did say that out loud. I feel that way about grammar, and I feel that way about MLA. I've given you handouts that address both of those things. The internet's full of information about both of those things. Let me itch my nose. The Writing Center is staffed with incredible people who all know how to do both of those things, and they're there to help you. That's their entire job, is to be there to help you with your papers. So, in considering all of that, legit, we have this much excuse, zero excuse for MLA to not be accurate and for our grammar to be off-putting. Let's just put it that way. It sounds a little nicer. So what I want on papers is I want you using the Times New Roman font, 12-point font. Your papers will be double spaced with 0 additional extra spacings between lines and paragraphs, and I'm going to show you how to remove that. The default setting in Word has additional spacing in it, and we're going to remove it so that we are using correct classic double spaced for academic work. The header should be the page number should be in the upper right-hand corner, and the header goes in the left corner. And the header contains your name, my name, the class name, and the date. And then again, your document must be a Word doc or a PDF. All essay assignments will be submitted to Blackboard and run through Safe Assign. Safe Assign is our plagiarism checker here at TCC, and I do set all papers' final drafts to go through Safe Assign. We will have some discussion questions and a final exam that will need to be completed on Blackboard. Now, what to name your Microsoft Word documents or your PDFs? So when you're naming these and saving them to your computer, here's how I want that done. So for rough drafts, you can see it's last name, first name, underscore E1 for SA1, underscore RD for rough draft, and on down. Polished paper, which means final draft. So we would have last name, first name, underscore E1, underscore PP or FD. But PP probably for polished paper, I think would be the better way to do that. The grading policy. Your success hinges on me, and I know it. Okay, I'm aware of this. I understand. I am not that professor who's going to make you wait the whole semester without knowing where you stand in the class. I refuse to do that to you because I've had it done to me, and I'm not okay with that. Not okay with that. I'm a grade watcher. So if I have any grade watchers in this class, I see you. I get it. I know. That's me too. My grades were very important to me when I was in school. I was very much striving for the best that I could do. And so I understand. And so because of that, I try to get your work back to you as quickly as possible. My goal is always to have it back to you before we turn in the next assignment. Because see, here's what happens is I will give you feedback on your essay. So let's say you turn in essay 1. I'm going to put feedback on it. I'm going to give you some ideas. I'm going to mark the things where you need to make some corrections. And I might have some other things to say. I want you to be able to see those, read those, make some corrections, understand where you need to make some adjustments before you turn in essay 2, right? Doesn't that just make sense? I feel like that makes sense. So that's what I strive to do for you. So what I just said was everything that's in all this writing here. I see this as teamwork. We are all members of the same team. I'm the coach. You're the players. But we have to work together in order to be successful. Okay? Now, if you see this asterisk here, and it's kind of indented a little bit, I'm only going to say this one time. I will not bring this up again in a video lecture. One time. So if you hear it, great. If you miss it, oh well. If you are unsatisfied with your essay grade and you feel you can do better, especially after reviewing my comments inside your submission on Blackboard, it will be your responsibility to text me and request an opportunity to revise your paper. Explain to me why and how you will accomplish this. I may indeed allow your revision. I will allow your revision. it must come upon you requesting the opportunity to submit, because I might have some things I want to talk to you about. But for me, I see it as an opportunity for you to learn. Like, you see your paper, you're dissatisfied with your grade of 72. And so you say, can I fix my paper and return it back in? I'm going to say yes, because see, what that requires you to do is to go and read my comments and to physically make changes to your paper. That's called learning. I'm down for that. I'm absolutely down for that. And at that point, I feel like you deserve the higher grade. So I'm good. But I'm only going to say that this one time. I'm not going to remind you. All right. Participation in peer review is required. If you miss the peer review, 20 points will be deducted from your overall project, either on the rough draft or the final draft. If you have extenuating circumstances causing you to miss the peer review, you can contact me in advance so that I ensure your group mates don't lose out on valuable critique. It's not fair to your group mates if you miss the peer review or you skip the peer review. I want to be able to just completely take you out of it, right? If you're going to miss it, you're going to miss it. Peer review is essential for us to do well with writing. So I have it as a requirement. Late assignments and makeup work. I do accept late work. It is a 10-point reduction. It is not a 10 points per day. It's just a 10 points off the top. But no rough drafts will be accepted late. That's because rough drafts are for the purpose of peer review. So they cannot be turned in late. I need them the day that we're going to start doing peer review. That's it. So if you don't get it turned in on time, it's a sorry, Charlie. We're not doing that. We're not turning it in late, getting you involved late. That's not fair to anybody. So you want to keep that in mind as you move forward here. All right, the last day for all work to be turned in is December the 6th at midnight. Keep that in mind up here. That's December the 6th is the last I will take any work for this class. Academic dishonesty. We're just not going to do it. We're not going to plagiarize. We're not going to cheat. We're going to use our own words. We're not going to be pirates. Arr. No. Use your own words. Let's don't use AI to do these assignments. I try to craft my assignments in such a way that they're required to be your own words. I have them be in a first person voice because I need you writing it, especially now in this world with Chat GPT and all this other stuff that we've got going on. Like, I need you doing your own work because I need you to be the one learning and growing. Isn't that the point of being in college? Why would you have a computer do all of your college work? I just don't understand that. And that leads me to kind of a Leo Tolstoy quote here. So quote. I love this quote. This is incredible. He said, "Free thinkers are those who are willing to use their own minds without prejudice and without fearing to understand things that clash with their own customs, privileges, or beliefs. This state of mind is not common, but it is essential for right thinking." So free thinkers are those who are willing to use their minds without prejudice, without fearing to understand things that clash with their own customs, privileges, or beliefs. You're not afraid of ideas other than your own. This state of mind is not common. Most people don't want to listen to an opposing perspective. Can't allow that another perspective could exist. We're going to cancel them. We're going to squish them. We're going to push them down. That's not critical thinking. That's not free thinking. That's not right thinking. We need to be able to know that there are perspectives other than our own without fear of that, without hate of that. Doesn't most fear come from, or hate comes from fear? Fear comes from hate. I forget how that actually goes. We fear things that we don't understand. And that develops the hate. That's the way it goes. It's interesting to me. Great quote. The grade challenge. I'm not a video gamer. I don't know much about video games, but I sure do think this is funny. I challenge you to consider making excellent grades like collecting points in a video game. Keep at it, make the jumps, practice, keep going, read all the feedback, take notes. Don't let any of it defeat you. Win the game, collect the points, be Mario, save the princess. I mean, some of you are like total video gamers and you know how to keep at it, how to keep at it, how to keep at it. You make that jump, you make that jump, you make that jump until you actually do it right. You keep at it. And then you win the game. Schoolwork should be the same way. Keep at it. Don't let it defeat you. Keep at it. Figure out how to do it right and get it done. Your final grades break down this way. There are 7 Blackboard question sheets. Well, they're based on our readings. They are 20 points apiece. Our outline rough draft combos, 2 at 20 points apiece. I feel like there are actually 3. Participation in peer review, 2 at 20 points. Essays, 4 at 100 points each. There are 4 quizzes. They are 30 points, 50, 50, 50. Woo! We will be doing a cover letter, resume, and reference sheet assignment. That's 100 points. And the final exam will be another 100 points for a total of 1,000 points for the semester. The grading scale breaks it down there for you. Now, down at the bottom here, I have the Life Happens Pass. Sometimes life gets in our way. Students can utilize this pass for one assignment during the semester, except for the final submission of the, oh, that's really helpful class. You guys, I really thought that I had this syllabus so tight. There we go. Now it's right. Sometimes life gets in the way. Students can utilize this pass for one assignment during the semester. All right. You can text it to me, copy paste, text this to me. Let me know what's up. And we'll let that exempt you from one assignment. The course rubric, or otherwise called How I Grade Papers and the Way My Brain Works and What I Think is Important, like Grammarly. So you can go through this and see how much point value I think all of these different infractions are. I had somebody tell me one time, oh, it's so negative. And I was like, I mean, I could do the opposite, right? You get 90 points if you have all of this correct, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm just going to tell you how many points I'm taking off for each one of these infractions. Use this as a guide for your essays. Like, look at these, some of these. If there's no introduction, just the thesis statement, like your first paragraph is just your thesis statement, I'm going to take off 10 points. Are you kidding me? Have an introduction. If your restated thesis statement is missing, it's not even in the conclusion, I'm going to take off 10 points. That's kind of an essential piece of the paper, right? Further down here, MLA header is not in the correct order. That's 5 points. So let's say you put your name, the date, the class name, and then my name. Well, that's not the right order. And I want you to be able to do it right so that you get into the next professor's class, you're doing it correctly. So I'm going to count off on that so you can fix it. If you're lacking MLA citations per quote, paraphrase, and the essay per incident, 5 points, because those are important. You have to have your in-text citations. You can go through here and see for yourself how much I think each one of those things is worth. Attendance participation doesn't apply to this course. You're actually, I mean, it does in the sense that you being on our course shell at least once or twice each week is going to show that you are actively participating in the class. I can check the statistical data quite easily, and I will occasionally through the semester look to see who's been on and who isn't. You'll never know when I'm going to be doing that. If I see that a student is not participating, I will let the appropriate departments know through the Starfish app. So be aware of that. Disability resources. If you do have an IEP from high school, or you have something that you would like the college to be aware of, you can contact the accessibilities um, department at the school, and they will get you the assistance that you need. Down here at the bottom, for accommodations, contact accessibility services, and here's their email address and here's their phone number. Let me say this. I know what it's like as a parent to fight for your child to do well in school when they have disabilities. But this is college, and your parents can't fight for you here. You have to do it for yourself. And so if you do need accessibility resources, you have to contact them yourself. And then what happens is you give them the appropriate documentation. They work with you, they meet with you, they may have you do some testing, and then they will send your professors an email letting us know what accommodations we are required to give to you. But you have to go through appropriate channels. You don't bring that to me. You don't bring that to your other professors. You do that with accessibility resources. Now, the next thing here is, like I said, your parents cannot be the ones to come up here and be like, but. No, FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. This is a very important component of college life. As your professor, I cannot speak to your parents. I cannot speak to a spouse, a friend, a preacher, anyone who would be contacting the school to ask questions for or about you. My response is, don't know. I can't even admit that you're a student in my classroom. I'm a former college registrar for 3 years, so I understand FERPA law. I can't even acknowledge that you're in my class, that I even know who you are. You're like, but that's lying. Well, it's the protection of your rights and your privacy. Now, we do have a FERPA form, and they should have you sign this when you enroll in school. And your FERPA form, on it, you can put who the school is allowed to talk to and regarding what. Now, as your professor, I'm not going to have access to that information. If your parent does try to contact me through an email, I'm sending that email right on to my supervisor. My supervisor will then give it to the appropriate department, and your parent may or may not be contacted. I'm not exactly sure how they handle all of that at TCC level, because all I know is that it's not my responsibility. As a faculty member, I am not allowed to speak to any of those people. Now, I may get an email back from my boss the next day that says it's okay if you communicate with this person's parent. They have a FERPA form. The parent is on it for academic assistance. Cool. If that's the case, I will respond to your parent. But if not doing it. You need to know that, especially those of you who are still in high school, okay? Because this applies to you as well. This is a college, and we don't have separate rules for high school students. So you need to be aware of that. Well-being, starfish, skip through those. TCC Wellness Services. We have all of these different services available through this link right here. And that's also, like I said earlier, that's also where the Y information is too. But you may not have known that we had counseling services for students on campus, and we do. We absolutely do. So you might want to check that out if that's something that sounds like a good thing for you. Syllabus attachment, it is right here. It's also on the Blackboard course shell. Has a lot of additional information. It is up to you as a student in college to be aware of student policies and the school policies. So be familiar with your student handbook, be familiar with all the school policies and how they interact with you and how you interact with the school. Very important for you to have the correct information so that you understand what's appropriate and what is not acceptable regarding behavior and other things in the school environment. Classroom etiquette, or as we would call it, netiquette for an online class. Anytime we are in discussion and in peer review, we are going to have open and mutually respectful communication. We all have different stories and backgrounds. We need to keep that in mind, and we will be kind. So then we have stop, read carefully. Every single word of this syllabus is essential, vital, and urgent for you to read. Everything that you need to know to be successful in this course is contained in these pages, such as each week will open at an appropriate time on Blackboard. Your task is to open the current week and complete all the items inside. Most weeks there will be a video lecture and a PowerPoint for you to watch or read. Do not skip these. All lesson materials are contained in them. Complete assignments posted in that week of class. Pay attention to due dates. Note that at no time will an open week of class ever close again. Once open, always open and available to you. The next 2 pages contain the course schedule. This is a table of contents for the course layout on Blackboard. It is not intended to be the only guide you use to navigate this online course. Follow the weeks as they open on Blackboard. Use the water cooler to ask each other questions and text me whenever you have questions that only perhaps I can answer. Also, I put on here, did you know that Blackboard has an app? If you have a smartphone, you can always have your class resources at your fingertips. I love when students want to tell me they lost their syllabus because I'm like, because you have an app. There's an app available and you can read your syllabus on there. So just know that. Now here is the course schedule. This is how it lays out for the entire semester. You see there's the different columns: week, dates, due, target topic, and assignment. All right. So the due column is in yellow. Those are the things that are due that week of class. Right. Target topic, that's what will be discussed in class that week. That's what the video lecture and the readings will be about. And then any assignments that you have to do that week are in that final column. So you can see down through here, week 1, watch the video lecture. Ta-da! That's what this is. And then you're going to complete the syllabus quiz and write essay 1. And give you instruction on it here pretty soon. Then Unit 1 begins, and Unit 1 will be weeks 2 through 5. You can see that next week we will watch the video lecture, we will define argument, and then you will be reading Bullet in the Brain by Tobias Wolff. The homework will be the Bullet in the Brain questions. The following week, with the video lecture, the topic is Understanding Critical Thinking. You will be reading The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. Your homework will be the lottery questions. Week 4, the video lecture will be on completing research. The reading will be The Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin, and your homework will be the Story of an Hour questions. Week 5, we will watch the video lecture. There will be a discussion on the essay, well, from me. There will be a description and discussion of how to do essay 2. I will let you have week 5 to be working on your essay, right? And you also will have the Unit 1 exam in week 5. So week 5 is going to be work week. You will be writing an essay and taking an exam. And we'll talk more about what the essay is going to be about when we get closer to it. Unit 2 begins. And with Unit 2, we're going to talk about practicing discernment and reading A Good Man is Hard to Find by Flannery O'Connor, one of my favorites. Your homework will be A Good Man is Hard to Find questions. Week 7 is peer review week. And in that week, we will stop. Everybody's participating in peer review, and we move forward after that. Week 8, talk about facing conflict. And we will be reading in the textbook what I call the consent section. And we will be looking at 3 different readings by Kristen Rupinian, Caitlin Ewan, and Susanna Weiss regarding sex. Now we're going to talk about sex and consent. The homework will be the consent section questions. Week 9, going to be talking about the mental health crisis in the United States specifically. And we will be reading The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. The homework will then be the yellow wallpaper questions. Week 10, we're going to discuss confronting big questions. and we will be reading The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas by Ursula K. Le Guin. Your homework will be The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas questions. Week 11 is going to be a writing week again. So you will begin working on Essay 3, and you will have the Unit 2 exam in week 11. All right. Then week 12, we will, in the video lecture, I'm so excited, we're going to talk about creating resumes and cover letters. I feel like utilizing argument in its best, purest form is our argument about ourselves and why we should have the careers that we want to have. So we're going to bring everything that we're discussing down to this point, and you're going to craft the best argument that you can for a job that you want. You will have a cover letter, resume, and reference sheet assignment given that week. Week 13 will be peer review of Essay 3. So you will have had all that time to work on it. Hopefully that will be plenty of time. Week 14, we're going to talk about interview skills. Week 15, we're going to begin Essay 4. And Essay 4, we'll spend week 15 talking about it and working on it in class, sharing ideas with one another, and utilizing that time. Well, probably have to do that through discussion thread. I keep forgetting, I keep losing myself here. We won't be in class together, but that will be your week to see, okay, well, here's my assignment, and you'll have that week to, or that day, no, that week to be working on that. And then week 16, we're going to talk about the importance of nonverbal argument and do a course wrap up. You will also have the utilizing argument exam, and then the final week of class will be the final exam. So that's where we're headed. You can see what all the due dates are there in that yellow column. That is what's coming at you. Below this on the syllabus, I have given you the listing of the writing assignments. They are here, all 4 of them. And I've given you some outline examples as well. So that is there. So that completes our syllabus conversation. Oh, I need to breathe for a second. Do you have any questions? It's a video lecture. But if you have any questions, text me. Just ask them. I'm happy to answer your questions. I don't want anybody to be sitting out there going, I don't understand, because that would make me very sad. I don't want that. So we're done looking at the syllabus. So let's move forward. Now, where do you find my feedback on your essays? Maybe you've not discovered that yet, even though you're in Comp 2. So let's take a look at where to discover my feedback. When you go to your assignment, after it's graded, you can go in the grade book and you can click View Assignment, pull it up. You'll have this screen. Over here where I've circled it and put the red arrow, it says View Attempt. If you click View Attempt, it's going to open up the paper. And you will see my comments inside your paper. It will look something like this. All right. So I leave comments, I highlight, I underline. If you see green highlighting, that means, ooh, I liked what you said. So green highlighting is good. So green for good. But yeah, occasionally there will be green highlighting. But I really I just love the way you put some words together or crafted one of your sentences. I'm going to be like, and I want to let you know I really like that. But otherwise, you need to read all my comments. Again, there's the video game grade challenge. You can do this. You absolutely can do this. The course is laid out in such a way where with all of the question sheets that we're doing, you're doing most of your own research before you even get to the essays. So you can do this. If for some reason you needed to withdraw from the course, pay attention to the course withdrawal dates. You can click this link here, or you can just go to my TCC and go to the information about withdrawal dates. Those are also on the school calendar. You can look at them from there. Always be thinking about your transcript. Your transcript from college is going to follow you the rest of your life. So be thinking about what you're doing with your education. An automatic withdrawal, which is an AW or a W, a withdrawal, does not affect your GPA, but an F does. And so if for some reason you need to step out of a class, do it officially and get dropped, as opposed to just letting the professor give you an F. Sometimes I go ahead and give the F even though a student disappears. If they disappear and they don't communicate with me, I have no idea what's going on with them, they don't respond to messages, a lot of times I let the F stand. Or if I have a student promise, oh, I promise I'm going to get caught up, I promise I'm going to do this, I promise I'm going to do that, and then they don't, I'll let the F stand. But if I know what's going on with a student and I know that they just really at this time cannot complete it, I'm going to suggest that you go and do it appropriate channels your own way. I also have the power to drop a student. And sometimes I do that if you miss too many classes and you're not communicating. Sometimes I go ahead and drop you. It just depends, but that's usually going to be, like after quite a bit of time that you haven't done any work, I would consider dropping you, but not before I try to reach out to you and communicate with you. So just be aware of that. You need to be thinking about your transcript. It's very important that you're thinking about your transcript now because it is going to follow you forever. And you don't want to have too many drops on your transcript because that can look fishy to a future employer as well. Like, you just really don't work well under pressure, I guess, if you have this many drops. Could be how they might look at that. So you want to be thinking about that as you move forward. All right, so strap in. What are some of the topics that we're going to discuss in class? We're going to dive into argument, building it, experience it, utilizing it, and accepting it. We will define argument. We will understand critical thinking. We will complete research. We will practice discernment. We will face conflict. We will recognize the mental health crisis. We will confront big questions. We will create resumes and cover letters. We will cultivate interview skills. We will acknowledge the importance of nonverbal arguments. And do not forget in all of this that we are different. We're all vastly different from one another. Oh, side note, look at all those verbs. Each one is different all the way down the bullet points. That's an important thing to remember before we talk about resumes. How we do this. Some days there will be a short story and discussion questions. Some days there will be prep work and peer review. Always we will keep in mind that we are different in our beliefs. We will keep open minds to the opinions of others. We will be critical thinkers and evaluate the why behind the belief. We will know that every author and every communicator is selling an idea. We will strengthen ourselves in others, and the practice normally would be to read Trust the First Amendment on page 785 in the textbook. I'm not sure that we're going to actually do that right now. But I do want to read the First Amendment. Maybe some of you aren't familiar with it. But this is the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. It says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Put on here, it's your First Amendment. You need to understand the government is working for you. We seem to have that backwards somehow, where the government is our caretakers now, and the government wants us to believe that they're our caretakers. No, that's not how our Constitution is written. We the people. It's our country. our Constitution, our rights. The government works for us. You need to not lose sight of that and read this carefully. Congress shall make no law establishing or respecting an establishment of religion. That means they cannot make any laws that have to do with a church, no matter what the religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. You have a right to worship the way you want, or abridging the freedom of speech. They cannot stop you from speaking. You have a right to your opinions. All of this cancel stuff that's going on is not constitutional. You have a right to your opinion as much as I have a right to my opinion. According to the Constitution, this is why we need the First Amendment. Or of the press. You have a right to write, speak, investigate, write about, interview, be a part of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble. There's a key word right there, peaceably. Let's keep it peaceful. As long as we're being peaceful, we fall into the First Amendment's protections. You also have the right to petition the government for redress of grievances. That means if you don't like something the government's doing, you have the right to say so. We forget that this country was started because of oppression, because there were people whose rights were being taken from them, and they were being forced to live in ways that they didn't agree with. And so they left, and they came to start their own country, which they had to fight for. And they established a country where the people have the power. But what, 200 and some years have gone by, and we seem to have forgotten that. It's your government. You have the right to let them know when you disagree with something they're doing. You can write a letter to the Congress. You can write a letter to your congressman. They take it before the House. I helped a friend one time edit up a bill that he was writing that ended up going to the House of Representatives, which is pretty exciting. It was Second Amendment related. It was pretty exciting to get to work on that with him and to help him get it just right before he sent it on up the chain. Every single one of us has that right to speak our voice. And it's wild if you watch the news, because your politicians and your law enforcement want to tell you that you don't have that right. You just need to sit back and keep your mouth shut. Just be happy. That's not how this works. Get to know your Constitution. So there's this article in here called Trust the First Amendment. And it's written by David Cole, who works for the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. And in this article, he's just laying the case out that a lot of people think that the First Amendment just protects conservatives. And he's like, no, 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 no. And just as much as it protects conservatives, it protects liberals too. It's a back and forth, a balance. Because if conservatives lose their voice when power changes hands, which it always does, because this is the United States of America and that's the way we're set up, power will change hands. So if you strip all of the conservative rights away with a liberal government, when the government turns conservative again, which it will, it does this, and it has throughout history. When it no longer does that, we will no longer be the United States of America. So when power does change hands, now all of a sudden, those same laws that were put into place by the liberals are going to then apply to the liberals and are going to squash their own voices. So David Cole's pointing out, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's don't get crazy here. Let's understand how the First Amendment works. It is a protection for all of us. Right, so he goes through history, he's talking about different things. It ends by saying the fact that conservatives benefit from the First Amendment is not something to bemoan. It is part of the constitutional bargain. It simply means that the First Amendment is operating as it should, neutrally preserving the lifeblood of democracy. And this is in our textbook, page 785. If we were in an actual classroom together, we would have a discussion on this after we read it in class out loud. But I would challenge you to read it for yourself and to consider what the First Amendment actually says and how it applies to you. What does it mean for you? We need to be aware of that. There are some questions regarding the text. One question that you always want to ask, no matter what you have read, is who is the author? Who is David Cole? And why is this important to him? Well, it's important to him because he is a leader of the American Civil Liberties Union. He's a lawyer. He's a constitutional lawyer. And so he fights for people of all political backgrounds for their rights. His message is that the First Amendment is neutral and that we all need to understand that it protects every single one of us. And then he does pose some questions in there. Talks about the Westboro Baptist Church, and some of you may not know what that is. I suggest that you look it up and read about the Westboro Baptist Church. But they're a pretty extreme church group. They tend to protest outside military funerals by carrying anti-gay signs. And so after reading the First Amendment, the question is, do you agree or disagree that members of the Westboro Baptist Church have the right to protest outside military funerals by carrying anti-gay signs? Do they have that right? Well, if you find that offensive, you're going to be like, no, they shouldn't have that right. And according to David Cole and the ACLU, they do have that right. According to the Constitution, they do have that right. Just like a group of gay protesters who want to go stand outside of Westboro Baptist Church and protest against their beliefs have that same right, as long as it's peaceful. Once it is no longer peaceful, that's when law enforcement gets involved. Cole doesn't mention the KKK or the Nazi groups. Should the ACLU defend their rights to march and speak at your university? Well, I guess that would depend on if you were at a state public school or if you're at a private university. Honestly. But even then, it's an interesting conversation to have. And then the final question there from the textbook is, what ground rules would you use if you were the student in charge of inviting speakers to campus? If you're at a private school, you can make some ground laws. If you're at a public school, anybody can come and talk there. All right, so that was a lot of information. Absolute tons and tons of information, but I want to go ahead and take us to your first essay assignment. So here we are. Do your syllabus quiz that shows that you've read the syllabus and that you understand it by filling out all of those questions. Most of it's multiple choice. There might be a couple of true or false, but I believe it's mostly multiple choice. And we are going to be doing essay 1. On the right, there are 4 stars with 4 different ideas. You're going to choose one of these, and this is going to be your essay 1. So the first one is tell the nonfiction story that you don't want your mother to read. You know the one. Don't censor yourself. Number 2, recall a moment in which you felt a strong spiritual or unidentifiable energy. Describe the scene in vivid detail with special attention to the senses. Connect that scene to your relationship with your own religious beliefs or lack thereof. Examine how you incorporated that experience into your worldview. Right, that's idea number 2. Number 3, think of a lesson you learned recently and apply it to memory. How would your behavior have changed if you had applied the lesson in the past? And number 4, what do you want more than anything in life? Write about the burning hot core of your desire and how that desire has changed over your life. So there's 4 different ideas for you to choose from for this assignment, for this writing assignment. And that's what I want you to be working on. So if we look again, let's take a look here at the syllabus. And we will just go right down to the course schedule and the due dates. Right, here we go. So Essay 1 is due. You can see where it's due on your course schedule. If you're watching this in the spring semester, it's going to be a different date. And if you're watching this in fall 2024, it's going to also be a different date there. So be looking at your syllabus to see when your assignments are due. You can also see this on your Blackboard course shell under the assignments. So I do want to take a look at the course shell one more time before I let you go. So under Unit 1, Building Arguments, this is where you're going to find days 1 or weeks 1 through 5. It does say day, but it's weeks. So the first one, Welcome and Syllabus. There is your writing assignment there. And so you will choose which one of these you want to write about. Here's the requirements. 3 pages of full text. No specific thesis is required. MLA format, Times New Roman 12-point font. No works cited page unless you quote someone or something in the essay. If so, correct MLA citations and a works cited page will be expected. Do run Grammarly. Have your paper edited as much as you can on your own. And we will not do a peer review on this piece. This piece is really for you to loosen up and get ready for class, and for me to get an idea of your writing style and where we are. All right. And then there is the syllabus and chapter 1 exam. So that is the week 1 information. Now, I'm going to tell you something else that I have not mentioned up to this point. I am going to open up all items at the beginning so that you can work through the class at your own pace. You can work past the peer review, but if you want the points for and want the peer review, you turn your rough draft in at the right time, you participate in the peer review week, and then you keep moving. And then you hit another peer review stop sign, you have your rough draft turned in on time, and you participate in peer review. But if you want to charge through the rest of it, I'm perfectly fine with that. This is an online class. I don't have a problem with you working through it at your own pace. So I'm saying that now. I'm going to put that wording in here in the welcome start here section. I'm going to put that wording in here. I'm also going to build in some stop signs for the peer review so that you will remember that it's time to stop, so that you don't neglect to get your rough draft turned in on time. So with all of that said, very excited about Comp 2. I hope you're not feeling like completely overwhelmed after this conversation. Hopefully it's the opposite. Hopefully you're feeling like, oh, this will be fun. My goal is to make it fun, which means I'm going to sit here in my office and be silly while I'm trying to give you information because I want to keep you engaged and keep you learning and desirous of learning. So I'm going to let you go, and please explore the course shell. You can see all the different features here. Explore the course shell and get to know it, because it will benefit you if you do so. All right. Again, text me if you have any questions whatsoever, and I will see you next week.